And you know what that means? It's the Sunday Live Start Sit Show on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. We'll be doing 2 hours straight of live start sits, answering all your questions for week 5. If you got bye weeks, you got Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper, and you need a wide receiver 3, jump on the show today. And we're going to break down all your start sit needs starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. And my first co-host today is Gladis L. Tyler. You can follow her on Twitter at Gladis L. Tyler. What's going on, Gladys?
Sunday morning, football's on, and there's more football to be had. What could go wrong?
Everything, by the way. That's what she means. It's all the takes out the window by like 10:05. I can't wait. Gladys, I asked you for a quick intro question. We're asking you for who's your flag play, your hot take today player heading into week 5? Is there anybody that comes to mind for you?
Play Zach Wilson, play Breece Hall, play Garrett Wilson, play Jets defense. Do it.
Ooh, baby. I have a Wilson stack in DFS.
Why?
I feel a little dirty. It's not the best, but it is what it is.
I feel a lot dirty, and I don't care.
Yeah, let's jump down to our second guest that we have today. It's JB, by the way. If you don't know JB's a Razzball historian, by the way. He's got all the archives back in his brain. He's been at Razzball forever. You can follow him at Fantasy Coach JB. What's going on, JB?
What's up, Bobby? I love that creative way of calling me old, bro. I appreciate that.
You're old in Razzball years, but in regular life, you're youthful. You're youthful, my good man. So I wanted to ask you, dude, what's your hot take for today? Any bold predictions, hot takes, anything like that for week 5?
Less of a bold prediction, more of a pump the brakes, right? Everybody's really excited to get Jonathan Taylor back this week, but I mean, there are people starting him over guys that they really should not be starting him over, and I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of that today.
Oh, yeah, dude. JT against that Titans run D has been up and oh, there we go. What are you guys at a restaurant right now? I love this.
We just stopped at Starbucks to get a little coffee cake.
I love that, dude. Perfect. All right, let's bring in the last host for today. And honestly, this man needs no introduction. But you know what? Just because I'm obligated to, I'm going to give him an introduction. It's Donkey Teeth, the honcho, the head honcho. I should put him at the top corner because that's, he's the big number one guy at Razzball. Donkey Teeth 87 on Twitter. What's going on, DT?
I'm in dark mode here, coming out of Nepal caves. What's up, everybody? My bold prediction, I don't know if it's that bold. Jaleel McLaughlin, RB1 this week. I'll piggyback off JB too. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to be an RB1. I think he jumps right back in there, RB1. So I'm on the other side of your prediction, JB.
Wow, I like that. So we have you guys get on the show. We're not even 5 minutes in, and you're already fighting. This is fantastic.
It's hard to fight with a guy at Starbucks with his little kid,
That's true. That's right. You got to like JB. JB's going to get all the nice questions today. No pushback at all. But obviously, everybody, if you noticed, we have we're going to have some start sit questions probably all the way up till kickoff. We have the London game going on. We do have a couple questions to start us off. But make sure you jump over to Twitter as well. We got a bunch of polls going up over the next few hours for start sits. If you want to join in, answer some start sit questions. We have an interactive day, but let's get started with some start sits, folks. And let's get into the first one right off the bat from Brian. Brian, appreciate you being on, jumping on early today. He was on before we were on, 7:33 a.m. That's why I love you, Brian. Half PPR, 10-man league. Brandon Ayuk against the Dallas Cowboys or Michael Pittman against the Titans. What do you got, Gladys? Let's kick over to you first.
This one's really easy for me. Pittman against the Colts defense. You want to go wide receivers against the Titans defense anytime that you can. Pittman is last week he was on the field for 95% of the offensive plays. He had 5 targets, but the week before he was on for 53% of the offensive plays with 11 targets. It's going to be Anthony Richardson trying to air it out because you cannot run against Tennessee.
JB?
Yeah, I'm with you for the same reason that I'm worried about JT against that run defense. It favors playing against that pass defense. So I'm going with Gladys there, and I'm taking Pittman there against that Tennessee defense.
What about you, DT? What do you got?
I mean, I think this one's a coin flip, personally. I'll go Ayuk. I think they're both kind of borderline high-end wide receiver twos for me this week. So I wouldn't blame you going either way, but I'll lean Ayuk. Where are you at there, Bobby?
Brian, just because I care about you as a person, my friend, I'm going to go Michael Pittman because I don't want this 50-50 stuff right off the bat, all right? Ayuk, I do think the 49ers steamrolled the Cowboys today, but at the same time, I think it's just going to be an absolute CMC dumpster fire for the Cowboys defense. So I'm going to go with Michael Pittman in that matchup indoors in that dome. All right, let's jump down to the next one. Let's see what we got here. Lynn Dorfins jumps on. Lynn Dorfins obviously started Ridley and Cook this morning. Not exactly bangers and mash so far. Well, yeah, it's been a rough morning so far from a fantasy perspective for some of those studs. Ridley almost had a touchdown, obviously, but it is what it is. We also have an additional question from Brian. He does have a flex option here. You have Ayuk. We have Kerryon Williams, the Rams running back, going against the Eagles. And then we also have Devonta Smith going against the Rams. Let's kick it down to you, DT, for this one first. Of these three, who would you flex?
What was the format again? Did I miss that?
Half PPR.
First off, I think I'll give Brian some credit here for the bangers and mash reference. I think that's worth at least a point in Brian's column. This one, I'll go with Kerryon Williams. I lean in half PPR towards the running backs if it's close. So it's Kerryon for me.
JB?
It's a tough one because I'm kind of between Kerryon and Devonta because I like that matchup against the Rams secondary as well. But to DT's point, when it comes to the laws of flexology, go for the volume, go for the running back. You agree, Jaden? Kerryon? Kerryon?
What do you got?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Gladys, your thoughts?
If this is the same team and he's going with Pittman for the wide receiver, I would go Ayuk in the flex.
I'm actually going to go Kerryon Williams as well. Fletcher Cox is out today for the Eagles, which is pretty big for that run defense. And I just think the Rams at home with Cooper Kupp in the building, that's going to be a fun game. So I'm going to go with Kerryon Williams as well. AJ jumps in. AJ, great to see you again, my friend. We got Keenan Allen and Mike Evans on a bye. A lot of us are feeling these kind of pains this week. Obviously, the bye weeks are finally here. Those are always fun. He's got Hopkins in one slot. Of course, Hopkins has a very good matchup this week against that Colts secondary. But now he needs to decide between Tank Dell, Michael Wilson, Robert Woods, and Odell Beckham. Odell coming back from injury here. Gladys, what's your first thoughts here? Who you taking? And it is a full PPR.
It's a full PPR?
Correct.
Robert Woods has the better matchup, but I don't know that he's going to get the volume in the slot against. I like Michael Wilson. I think that game is going to be a bigger shootout than people are predicting. And so it would be close for me between Michael Wilson and Robert Woods. And I would lean slightly towards Michael Wilson because of Cincinnati's dumpster fire of a defense right now.
JB?
Yeah, I don't like the matchup for Dell this week. Wilson's kind of shown that he can step up in big spots, make big plays. I do like the matchup for Robert Woods, but I don't think I'm going to play him over Wilson right now. I think the targets will be there for Wilson, so I'm going Wilson.
DT?
I'm the guy that comes on the show and is just very wishy-washy. And let's be honest. The reality of these type of decisions is we're throwing darts. Just spray and pray here on Tank Dell, Michael Wilson, Robert Woods. Any of these guys could hit. Most likely, they're all going to suck. I'm going Tank Dell. I'm starting him in my own lineup. But it's really. I think these decisions you want to go down. If you have any sort of gut feeling on your own, go with that because it'll just be we're guessing here. We slightly educated guess, but we're throwing darts. So Tank Dell for me. But if you've got any sort of feeling, AJ, go with your own gut.
I got to think DT's the first host ever to tell people, just stop watching. We don't know what we're doing. So we appreciate that, man. Obviously, I'm gonna give my educated guess. I'm actually going to go Robert Woods. Talked about him on the Friday show about that slot matchup against the Falcons. Plus, it's PPR. I like that too. So we have seen a couple really nice games against that Atlanta Falcons secondary from slot receivers. So You know what? Let's go with the slot first wide points per game allowed analysis. Come on, guys, and let's just go with Robert Woods. You know, the data's there. We'll figure it out later. All right,
Bobby, I'm with
Patricio.
you. I'm with you. Those outside corners are really good on Atlanta, and that's why I'm afraid of Tank Dell a little bit. And that's why I said it's a good matchup for Woods against the slot there. I mean, I'll play against the slot in Atlanta every day.
There you go. There we go, JB. That's why JB's on the move, and he's already promoting us better than Donkey Teeth down there. I mean, come on. All right, let's talk about Patricio. By the way, Patricio, appreciate you, Bond. Loyal fan, comes on all the time. Him and Lindorphins, great to have you back on, dude. Full PPR question here. We have Olave, Pickens, and Nico Collins. I think a lot of Nico questions are going to come today. Obviously, if you follow Razzball, Nico's been awesome, but he's got a really tough matchup against Atlanta. Olave's got that Patriots secondary that lost Gonzalez. And then whatever you want to call the Steelers offense right now with Kenny Pickett banged up now, is Pickens a start? Let's jump it over to you, Gladys. It's, Pickens is one of your Steelers. What do you think here? Full PPR.
Do we know if Carr or Winston starting for the quarterback in New Orleans?
Carr's in.
Carr's in. I would go Olave, full PPR against no Christian Gonzalez. That's going to really, really hurt the New England defense. Plus, they don't have Judon, so they don't have the pass rush that I'm going Olave. Stay away from Pickens, please, against Baltimore defense and Matt Canada.
You can't get away from Matt Canada unless he gets fired. But yeah, we get what you're saying. All right, JB, thoughts?
Yeah, it's easily Olave for me. Staying away from Pickens, like you said. Nico against AJ Terrell, no thank you. I'm definitely going Olave in that one.
DT?
Yeah, Olave's must start. He's in a different tier than Pickens and Nico for me, so I agree with them. Although I am starting Pickens, so let's lay off a little bit here.
Oh, the bye weeks already got some weird guys starting already. I don't even want to get into this morning. I had so many Jags and Bills, like the Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk decisions this morning. It was too much for me. I needed a Sunday live start sit show. That's what I needed this morning. All right, I'm going to Olave. It's the Patriots secondary is not what it was and now with Gonzalez out, if you look at our slot versus wide metric, the out wide fantasy points allowed by the Patriots is good. And now you got Olave. I'm not fading Olave at all this week. I'm in. Patricio. Jumping down to another one here, I'm going to assume this is a full PPR as well. We have Ramondre Stevenson dealing with some of his own ailments going up against that New Orleans run D. And then you have McLaughlin, which is someone DT just brought up against the Jets. What do you got, DT? Are you going for that streamer this week? We don't know if Javante's in or out just yet, but let's just assume, let's say Javante is out this week. Would you go McLaughlin or Stevenson?
Yeah, McLaughlin. I think even if Javante plays, it's going to be the McLaughlin show this week. I think Javante will probably be more of an emergency option would be my guess. But this is, again, a close decision. I think that they're both solid back-end RB2s. I like the McLaughlin upside. I like the unknown, so I'm going that direction.
JB?
We had a thread earlier this week with a bunch of the Raz people on there talking about Stevenson in another context, and I said that I was worried about his health. I feel like he's not fully healthy. He doesn't look great. And as much as I really don't believe the hype in McLaughlin, he's going to have some volume today. I don't think Javante is going to play. I think they're going to be playing with a kind of slow plotting type of game flow today. The outside corners are going to have a good time with, playing against that Denver passing game. So I think they're going to have to run, and they're going to have to hit McLaughlin on the check down. So I'm going with him there.
Gladys?
New Orleans defense is not allowed a running back to score on them in a rushing touchdown. They're averaging 10 points a game. And last week, Stevenson averaged 2.1 points per carry. I'm going with McLaughlin, even if Williams plays.
Yeah, I'm okay with this one going McLaughlin as well. I think something is off with Stevenson. And honestly, the Patriots offensive line has not looked really good. The offense hasn't looked good as a whole. And New Orleans isn't just some matchup like, oh my God, this is a top 5 matchup. You got to play Stevenson. The fact that it's a mediocre matchup at best just makes me feel like, let me get that juice in your lineup with McLaughlin this week. And I'm okay with stashing Stevenson still. Don't drop him or anything crazy. All right. A DT side, Lindorphins calling you out, DT. He's excited to see it. People miss you. First of all, how was your trip? Let's just take a quick break. DT was traveling the world. Tell us a little bit about your trip, DT. How are things, man? We're glad that you're back, dude. People are excited that you're back. So to give the people what they want, tell us a little bit about your retreat.
Oh, it's trip of a lifetime, man. It wasn't just that. I went to Scotland first with my dad, and we played 6 rounds of golf. I played the old course at St. Andrews. It was just that was like an incredible once in a lifetime trip. And then from there, I went to Italy, went to Tuscany for about a week, and then spent 3 nights in Rome, which again, like in itself was like a once in a lifetime trip. And then I went to Nepal from there. And I spent 5 weeks in Nepal. And man, Kathmandu is just a wild, wild city. Like I'd never been to Asia before, so it was total cultural shock. And like the way that they drive there, it's like something out of Mad Max. Like there is no law on the roads. Like there's no lanes. It's just everyone cutting each other off and honking. And it is just a wild experience. Like it's hard to get used to. And then from Kathmandu, I spent a week out in the mountains and kind of camped out and found a really cool cave and did some hiking. So it was really an awesome trip. Bad news, I lost Nick Chubb while I was out there on the mountain.
Wow.
I'm on my phone, like watching, because it's like 11 hours ahead of where you guys are, 11, 12 hours, something like that. So it's like morning, I'm watching this Monday Night Football game, Nick Chubb, knee destroyed. Good news, I had this awesome Razzball hat waiting for me when I got back. Thank you, Bobby LaMarco. This thing is awesome. Yeah, never had a Razzball hat. So that's the cliff notes of the trip.
Dude, I love.
Thanks,
by the
Bobby.
way,
You must have forgot to ask for my address.
Oh, it's JB. You have
Okay.
a cooler hat than we all do. What are you talking about? You have the big Razzball R there, so I don't want to hear it. All right, you already did your own hat thing. We appreciate you though. I'll have to get you one of these too for being on the show while you're walking your son. I got that probably alone earned a hat. So if you want a hat, you got a hat, my friend.
I think all of viewers right now are just JB's family tuning in to watch his kid walk around. He keeps putting the camera on. So definitely the star of the show right now.
I gotta tell you this. I actually in my world calendar, my app, I actually had live updates of DT's location. So I was like, okay, he's in Kathmandu. Okay, he's 13 hours ahead. I should not message him right now. So it's 2 a.m. where he is. So I was very conscious to make sure I wasn't messaging DT while he was sleeping. But let's get back into some start sit questions. DT, we're glad you're back. That's the biggest takeaway of this show today. All right, let's go ahead. Defensive question here. We got Detroit Lions at home against that Carolina Panthers offense, and then you also have the Chiefs this week. Going up against who's Kansas City got off the top of my head, and they are facing Minnesota.
In Minnesota.
Yeah. So Gladys, what's your thoughts here?
Lions against Carolina. Unfortunately, Bryce Young is not. His offensive line isn't the greatest. It's not helping him any. But especially if you get extra points for sacks, go for the Lions defense. Aiden Hutchinson's gonna just have a day.
DB?
Literally anybody against Carolina.
I like it. DT?
Yeah, I agree. Lions here.
Lions for me too. It's a sweep. I think it's our first sweep. This is good. I like that. That's good to see. Patricio keeping things real simple for you right now. That's what I like to see. And honestly, Bryce Young's been struggling. Obviously, the Lions are a good defense. They are missing some players, but it is what it is. Brian, appreciate you, man. We love you too, dude. Honestly, appreciate you jumping on first thing in the morning. Patricio with a kicker question of this week. We have Sanders, Prater, Zerline, Patterson, and Carlson. So obviously, I could take this one. I have my crazy kicker analysis, but I'm going to throw it around to the table. Does anybody have any kicker thoughts this week? DT, you first.
That's a no.
No, that's a no. That's okay. That's all right. I can take this one. No worries. I got it, guys.
It's always Patter season for me, bro.
Before
you give an actual analysis, it's always Patter season for me. I'm a Riley Patterson stan. I had a Jaguars jersey last year, so now I need to work on getting a Lions Riley Patterson, but it's always Patter season for me.
Love it. Gladys?
I tap out on kicker questions. I'm sorry.
I like it. All right. So in my analysis, I have Jason Saunders and Prater in my top 5. So either one of those guys are good to go this week.
I had to pick up Prater, so
What
now
is
I
that?
love you.
Can we just point out that Jaden's pointing to a lion right now? If that's not a sign, I don't know what it is.
I love it. Honestly, if Riley Patterson doesn't go off, that would be insane at this point. Patricio, shout out to me for DJ Moore call, dude. We love you. Thank you. I always appreciate a shout out when I get it. I get one out of every 10 right, so I'm glad someone noticed that one. That was good. Patricio, full PPR. Would you rather start Olave or Swift? This is a tough one. Now, DT, a little bit earlier, you said Olave's in pretty much, but what about this one with Swift? I'm assuming this is full PPR. So Olave or Swift for you, DT?
Yeah, it says full PPR there. I'm going to go Olave. I mean, we're talking about a top tier wide receiver. You get a point for each catch that he has. I'm going Olave.
DB?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Olave there too. I do like Swift, but I like the matchup for the passing game in Philly today, so I think they're gonna have some passing touchdowns. I'm going Olave.
Gladys?
Olave. He's like the 5th, 6th, 7th most targeted player right now. So Olave full PPR for sure against the dip. Wait, they're playing the Patriots, right?
That is correct.
Okay, yeah, no Gonzalez. I'm telling you, people, no Gonzalez is like major. Even though he's a rookie, it's more major than people.
No Gonzalez and no either Jones too. They're playing like J.C. Jackson. They just retraded
Retrained,
for
yeah.
two backups.
J.C. Jackson last week was like, I don't want to play. I don't want to do this. I'm not playing. So he put out a little tantrum and he got traded. So I'm going to go Chris Olave too. I mean, still, just in our metric alone, the Patriots before all the madness we discussed, was 12th most fantasy points out wide. So it's a plus matchup anyway. And now you factor in all these additional things. I think I'm 100% good with that. AJ, thank you, sir. Appreciate you jumping on. Lindorphins. All right. Do you all ever punt? This is a more of a strategy question, so we do appreciate Lindorf. Let's get into this, and I'm going to throw it down to DT first here. Do you all ever just punt a week on bye? So let's say, for example, you have a bunch of bye weeks. Instead of dropping players that are solid, would you, basically throw the week away? I'm looking at suspects in week 10, a suspect week in week 10, multiple Eagles and Tyreek. Would you trade to correct the error or lean into it and trade for off these other players that week? So essentially it sounds like week 10, he has a bunch of players on bye, probably going to have to take the L. I'm going to tell you this. I'm not planning 6 weeks in advance. You don't know what's going to happen. You might be able to get a guy or two over the next few weeks organically on waivers to fix this problem at some point. But I will say this, if you get to that week and you need a win, you might need to make a trade. It might have to happen that way. But I don't think I'm going to be looking that far ahead personally if I have a bye-pocalypse myself. But what are your thoughts, DT?
No, I totally agree off the bat. That's too far ahead to look and strategize. Like these players, the players you trade for could get hurt. So yeah, a lot of unknown there. But I think this question depends on your definition of punt. Like full punt, like just figure I'm going to lose this week, I don't care, and like start players on bye, absolutely not, right? But like semi punt and just pick up the hot player for the week, just random free agent that's got a good matchup. Totally. I think that's the way that I'd go. Like never force a trade just looking at 1 week unless you're in absolute must-win territory, right?
JB?
Yeah, I agree with you, DT. Like that's how you got to play it. Like look at guys that might have had that issue this week, right? Maybe they have Evans and DK and a couple of guys that are on bye this week. They're able to grab Nick Westbrook-Akini and Trenton Irwin and have guys that are actually going to have roles out there this week. And hey, maybe you squeak out a win. You never know. So you don't have to force a trade like DT said. You could always scramble that week before, maybe look ahead, start planning for it the week before, get somebody who you're seeing an increase in target share, increase in routes run, grab that person, and hey, maybe you'll get a lightning in a bottle there.
Gladys?
I think it depends on where you are in your standings. Like if you can afford to take a loss, I have no problem with not picking up players because your roster stacked and you don't want to lose anyone and just going with what you have. So I think it just depends on where you are in your roster and how badly you need a win at that particular time. So you won't know that until like week 8 or 9. So I just hang on to week 8 or 9 and see.
Fantasy football is hard enough on a weekly basis. Trust me, do not worry about week 10 right now. Let's get some W's in week 5, 6, and 7. And then once we get closer to week 10, Lindorfin, circle back with us around 8, 9, and we'll talk again about this. But right now, I think we all agree on this one. All right, let's jump down. We have our first real QB question today. We have the upstart CJ Stroud going up against the Atlanta Falcons this week. And then we also have Matthew Stafford against Philly. So what's your thoughts here, Gladys? QB question. Who do you got, the rookie or the vet?
So if Stafford is fully healthy, both Philly and LA play the quickest in the league. So there's going to be points on the board. And he has Cooper Kupp back. So there's going to be lots of points on the board. If Stafford is fully healthy, if he doesn't have that hip problem, if he has that hip problem, I would worry about the Philly rush getting to him and just pouncing on the hip because that's what they do. But if he's fully healthy, I'm going Stafford versus Philly because there are going to be points on the board. Stroud is never a bad choice, but Atlanta defense is sneakily better than what people think. But Stroud is on a streak, so I'm going Stafford fully healthy. Stafford.
JB?
Yeah, it's going to be Stafford for me because I already mentioned I don't want to play against that Atlanta secondary. It is a sneaky, strong secondary. AJ Terrell, Jeff Okudah on the outside. They got strong safety play. Bates has been awesome. So I'm going with Stafford there. I think it's going to be a little bit of a letdown week for Stroud this week.
DT?
There we go. I'm going Stafford. Cooper Kupp back. I mean, you can't fade Stafford here. Although I do think it is kind of coin flip territory. I'm going Stafford.
I am actually going to go. I think one thing we haven't talked about a lot is there's a guy named Cooper Kupp coming back. I think he's kind of good. Somehow Stafford for the first 2 weeks is throwing for 300 yards a game. I know he's throwing a bunch, but he's throwing and listen, no shade at Puka, no shade at Tutu, no shade at whatever else is going on there in LA. But Cooper Kupp is back. And I think Matthew Stafford has regained his form. Now you plop in Cooper Kupp. Give me that game. I'm liking a shootout this week in the LA-Philadelphia game. So I'm going to go clean sweep here with Matthew Stafford. All right.
Bobby, shoot me the code. I'm going on to my computer.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to do multiple things at once, JB, but I got your code. I will get it to you in a second. Let me throw this question down to DT. And DT, take your time. Feel free to throw some extra sauce on that analysis while I get the code for JB. Need a wide receiver in PPR. We have Pickens, Hopkins, Sutton, Westbrook, Akine. He also has Devontae Adams, which is an auto start, and Hollywood Brown this week. So maybe this could be a start 2 instead of start 1 if you feel like you should sit Hollywood Brown. What's your thoughts here, DT?
I think I stick with Hollywood Brown there. It's really between Pickens and Hopkins for me. I think that there's a decent argument for Hopkins with it being full PPR, it looks like, because Pickens is that kind of home run standard play. But I'm just a huge Pickens fan. I'm going Pickens, but really it's down to those two. I'm interested to hear where you guys are going with this one.
Gladys?
I'm going Hopkins. Hopkins apparently has been hurt, and now he's fully recovered. I'm not sure what the injury was, but even hurt, he was 53% on the field, 6 targets, and now Burks is out. Tennessee's going to have to throw the ball. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's not the most reliable, but he's more reliable than Kenny Pickett. So I'm going Hopkins. I think that he's going to have a day.
JB?
I'm also going with Hopkins there. He's actually one of my favorite starts this week in a little bit of a sneaky, not talked about way. It's a good matchup out there. I think they're going to have to throw, and I'm having to start Tannehill and Scott Fishbowl today, and I don't feel that bad about it because I think he's going to hit Hopkins a few times, and I think it's going to be a good game for them.
I had a Josh Dobbs feeling last week, and I started him in a super flex. I'm like, I don't feel bad about it. It feels kind of good. So, JB, I'm throwing some good juju your way, my friend. Ryan Tannehill, baby. Big day. I do have a question. I do think Hopkins is the start here, but is there any hesitation here from the group about Hollywood Brown this week, potentially? And is it enough to sit him for a guy like Sutton against the Jets? I mean, Westbrook Akine, I think it's a deeper name, or Pickens. Anybody sitting Hollywood Brown for one of those guys?
Are you sitting Hollywood Brown because of the matchup, or are you sitting Hollywood Brown because you think Michael Wilson's taking targets from him?
The matchup against Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, Sutton's going to go against Sauce Gardner. Readers, DJ's not in, but he's going to go against Sauce Gardner. And yeah, no, I have no hesitation on starting Hollywood Brown over Sutton.
Anybody? Or is everybody starting Hollywood?
I mean, I've got all these guys right in the same range. And I think he's saying